My mother died when I was 6 years old. She was like whispers and memories now, soft and melty. Her soft caress, her warm smile, I recall those nights at home. She was the gentlest being, they said, but with her gone away, all that remained in our home was cold as what sunset light last touched. It didn't take Dad long to fill the void she left. And then came my stepmother Seraphina, perceptive eyes but a smile that never quite managed to meet her gaze. It was like she were a frieze that spanned our entire lives. To our father, she was sweetness itself and stayed the devoted wife. However, the second we were alone, she would remove it. Now Aurelia, she would hiss, a sharp sound that could cut through the silence. You'll not for a second think you're anything more than a burden. I see it, but your father may not. You are just a footnote to what should remain in yesterday. I took her words to heart, but also learned how never to show tears again. I could not let her know how much what she said hurt. Within the next year, yet again things changed, and unfortunately not for the better. Seraphina had Talia, and overnight I disappeared. Knee-deep in his newfound delight of becoming a father to another girl, poor Dad just let Seraphina take over the helm for me. That would have been like giving a fox tickets to the henhouse. She loved to make my life hell. Dad was absent most of the time, ensnared in his own work or too worn out to register any inner turmoil. In his sheltered presence, Seraphina acted the part of a perfect wife and mother. And I was just the ghost in background. So instead, I wandered and sat, somehow learning to live in the darkness with my voice barely more than an echo bouncing off all that vast nothingness of a place where there had once been home. Seraphina reigned, and no one dared cross her. This was a turn of dial from the guiding hand my mother had brought to our home. And as the days become years that felt like a distant dream of what it means to be taken in by family, and this was not long after the era when I refused my grandfather's offer. Living with Seraphina was a minefield just waiting for the next one to go off in the cold reality I tried to live. Eating was especially excruciating. She knew what skeeved me out, but the dishes she'd serve would be those. When a plate was placed, her eyes flickered with wickedness. "Here, Aurelia, your dinner." She'd smirk, placing the very thing he knew I detested before me. "Eat up, we can't have you looking anorexic." I would just sit, and the stench alone made me want to vomit. The rare times did gain the courage to push that plate away. Seraphina would begin her theatrics. "Eloan, look at her. Your daughter is becoming a queen too fancy for my peasant snacks. What are we going to do with her?" To my father, as she cried the blues. Dad, ever the peacemaker, would sigh. "Aurelia, you must learn to eat what is given. These meals are made by your stepmother." But it wasn't just the food. As well as letting me know that I would be kept from him in such an insensitive manner, Seraphina's cruelty extended to how the world saw me. I was dressed primarily in a random mismatch of colors and patterns, or dirt-poor hand-me-downs worn down to nearly being threadbare. Everyone else rocking up and out looking like a scarecrow or parrot, leaving me bristling in snickers and sideways glances from the other kids. I asked Aurelia, "Why are you wearing that?" "Odd you appear," the children would leer. It would force a lump down my throat, and I'd turn red with embarrassment. I would mutter to myself, "I want the ground to swallow me up." Thalia, on the other hand, lived a completely different life at home. She was the golden child, the sunlight of Seraphina and Dad, the loveliest dresses, and the nice meals. The world was bigger than she thought, as a child with an attitude. Then acting spoiled and petulant, she would have tantrums if things didn't go her way, Seraphina always rushing in to smooth everything over by blaming me for the girl's outbursts. "Aurelia, look what you did." Seraphina would tell me off. "You've upset your sister," even when I hadn't. It was true, too. Whenever Thalia got in trouble for something, she seemed to somehow find a way to pin it on me. "You've really stepped out of line, Aurelia girl. Dad would say with that glimmer of disappointment in his eyes while Seraphina wove more silken tales and painted me as the root cause. Always you thalia sweetheart. Yet even though my body was inexplicably hurting, despite the starkness and cruel lack of explanation for it all, a tiny voice inside me still clung to hope, and hoped for a different day. And one day Dad would catch on to Seraphina lies. That day, I can leave all this behind and find somewhere to belong. A home for where I was quieter than just the stepdaughter that they unnecessary, the more quiet figure in Thalia's ideal life. Living under the same roof as Seraphina was a marathon ordeal. However, out of nowhere a light at the end of tunnel, but so rare and almost like dream to believe. This occurred one simple evening, the kind that all too often happened in silence or Seraphina rants running rampant throughout the air. Dad yelling in the quiet of my room, where I was cloaked by books. Text barometer statistics. Aurelia, come down here. Talking, he said, slightly more serious. A moment's pause with my curiosity piqued. Or why is it that I always wonder what in the world had happened this time, Amos? I descended the stairs to see Dad at their kitchen table, papers set out before him. Seraphina was by then waiting, her eyes worried, a corner wrinkle in the forehead. What's going on? Air. I tried my voice from quivering. Dad coughed and looked at me. Aurelia, I've been thinking. We think it is time to talk about your prospect. You're graduating soon, and, Seraphina interjected, her voice cold. Oh, Aurelia, sure I think it is about time he got a taste of you on your own 2 feet. Isn't that right, Eloin? Dad hesitated, then silenced her with a face. Would you like to know what I'm getting at? Your mother, we need, God bless her, was something for the tuition. That'll carry you through college. I stood there in shock, words so heavy they felt like sand. College? So I can go to college? Seraphina scoffed. Oh, now she's interested. I honestly thought you'd be too busy crying to give a damn about your future. Dad's gaze hardened. Enough, Seraphina. This isn't about you. This is what your mother wanted for you, Aurelia. She had put this money away a while before. Well, she died. It is yours, and I believe that it is what she would have wanted. The room spun around me. College. An escape to get started and you somewhere far, from where everyone would look at me in the cold light of judgment. It made me want to cry. It was a proud day at the ranch, but more than that. Thank you, Dad. I'm not sure what to say. I stammered, my words a mere breath. Seraphina snorted. Well, don't get too excited. It's not a free ride. It's going to be tough, and you're going to have a lot of work ahead of yourself, being as that went so well this time around. Yet her words, which usually cut so deep, only opened a seal on a little ball of hope that had formed in my feeler. It was a way forward, however dim. A way out for the first time in what seemed like infinity years. The events over the following weeks were a dizzying rush of applications, paperwork, and arrangements. Seraphina's barbs persist but bounce harmlessly off of me, as blunted daggers unable to penetrate the shield I had erected. We were in college, stepping into this bright and wrinkled future. I put my bags together, ready to leave the walls of a house that never really became home. As I looked back, it was with closure and no regret. It was more than a simple departure. It was the beginning of figuring out who I am, healing from past wounds and creating a life where I could be more than just the rejected stepchild or that shadow in an empty house. With a smile, Seraphina flung an eye on me as I made for the exit. This is not the end, Aurelia. Life's not that kind. You'll learn soon enough. I looked straight at her with grit. Well, possibly, but then hell, at least I will be learning something and experiencing growth. The best part is that it would all have been on my terms. I left the room at that thought, and with each step I could feel a weight of my old days lifting. And the future, so unknown, even terrifyingly daunting it seemed at times, with more uncertainties than certainties left in its wake. But the future was mine, and that's all mattered. Going away to college was like finally coming up for air after years of drowning. I had left that oppressive life serves behind, and here I was on my way to study law in a faraway city. As the bus drove off, I felt a pang of both excitement and relief in my chest, the two familiar sights weaving away from view. College life was a whirlwind of lectures, libraries, and late-night study sessions. The law helped me. I immersed myself in its pages, relieved for the first time of my life from neglect and seemingly capricious incidents that aroused such confusion. Seasons changed. I would wish holidays back home, but the silence returning was louder than a siren. Nothing. No happy birthday. Or, of course, the holidays. Merry Christmas. Only a whisper returning my own voice from beyond. Fast forward years later, and my blood, sweat, and tears paid off. Then graduation day arrived, and I walked over the stage not just with a diploma of my own, but knowing I had achieved that on my own. I found a job at an obscure little law firm where I buried myself in briefs and courtrooms. I was 25, independent and trying to make my mark in life. And then, from left field, my phone rang one slow Sunday. My heart skipped a beat at the screen flashing Dad. Hello. I responded to the call, warily. Aurelia, it's your dad. I'm aware it has been some time, and I apologize for this. I'm not feeling well, and I was wondering maybe it is time for reconciliation spirit. The voice, more fragile than I remembered. It dripped with ruefulness and pushed at my now tender heartstrings. Dad, of course I want that too. How are you? What's wrong? I swear the tone in my voice shocked me as I said this. It's a long story, and you know what, some health stuff, and it just helped shape a lot. Life is too short for the grudges or what-ifs. I miss you, kiddo. After all of those years, something in me melted when I heard him say that he missed. As if a tiny padlocked portion of my heart had given way, squeaking open. I miss you too, Dad. I can make an appearance. Check in on you. We could talk, try to rebuild. The words came out before I had a chance to question them. That would mean everything. The call dissolved in a pledge visit soon, and it left me feeling quite blown around emotionally. I had become so bitter to protect myself from going through life without my family, and just a few words and those walls seemed more porous. Shoving it all into my suitcase in the parked car, I knew that this wasn't just me going home. It was a trip farther back than she and I joked about on our reunion phone call, a journey through uncharted territories to make good what time had broken further still. For the first time in a while, I had something to be excited about. So the drive home seemed extra long. With every mile toward my childhood home, I felt more and more excited in my own heart. I'd not been home in years after I moved out for college, and seeing all of them again scared me. As I pulled into the driveway, I sat for a moment and gathered my thoughts. The house appeared unchanged yet different in some way, smaller, less threatening than the one recalled from my youth. I took a deep breath and got out of the car, walking up to the front door. The door opened before I could even knock, and there was Seraphina standing in the doorway with her eyes judging me from stem to stern. Why, it's the princess returned from her magical journey to empty cafe spaces in Lille. You're still dressing like you paid with food stamps, ha! Seraphina jeered. Her words stung in the way that they always used to, a hole shot through my self-esteem, and I blurted out all over again. However, it was no longer falling on deaf ears of a submissive-tongued girl. Clothes do not make a person, Seraphina. Well, I said, it's what they have inside, steadying my voice. Her laugh was bitter with no laughter in it. Seek at you, Mr. Wise-ass graduate. Come in then. Your dad's been worried about you. I experienced a flood of memories as I walked in the door, sequential rooms where for years I had lived under Seraphina's ever-watchful eye. He was sitting in the living room and looked so meek, frail, and repentant compared to his former self. I went up to him and said, gently, Dad. His gaze met mine, and I saw a moment of pain. Those words were born from the combination between bitterness and relief. Aurelia, you're here. I thought about you and all the things. The time you needed me more and I wasn't there. I truly apologize for this, so sorry. The reality of his voice really struck me off guard. It's okay, Dad. We can't change the past. Well, the point is we're here now. He nodded, his hand lifting slightly, and I grasped it. A silent apology of sorts and an attempt to start the mending. Serafina stood in the doorway, expressionless. Heartwarming, the beautiful family reunion, she said sarcastically, ignoring her jab and focusing on my father. How have you been, really? Concern laced my words as I asked. It's been tough, Aurelia. I mean, the sickness, it would knock me on my ass. It makes a difference whether you are here or not, he said, his voice trembling but sincere. When I looked back, Serafina had stepped out and Talia was peeking peek-a-boo style into the room with a curious look. She was not the little girl I remembered but an 18-year-old woman, looking to me like she did not know where or how she fit into this unexpected family gathering. Thalia, come here. A very long time, I said, smiling slightly at her. After a moment she walked forward. Hi Aurelia, you seem different, she said, a soft caution in her voice. Different in a good way, I hope, was my attempt to break the ice. She smiled weakly. Yeah, different good. It was an awkward conversation with the years of separation and Serafina weighing heavily in our relationship. It was a beginning, however, just a chink in the wall that had divided us for so long. The following days, I looked for a place of my own in the area and visited Dad every chance that wasn't already spent trying to make up for years lost. Our conversations were not easy. They hurt sometimes and healed others. Part progressed, but a great deal of recovery. Serafina never let a minute go by without reminding her she was there. And Talia, the way Dad was changing with her influence, it brought an ember of hope to my heart that maybe we could learn how to be a family again, damaged and broken as it might be. Back in my hometown, life was beginning to fall into a pattern, a tenuous one between the old and new. We were always fretting over Dad's health, but suddenly we had this odd tranquility we'd lacked for years. Yet soon, that form was to be shattered in a way I had never seen coming. One evening, when as I was leaving Dad's house, Serafina cornered me in the corridor, a look of an odd determination behind those stiff eyes. Dad wants to talk, has something serious related to his property. You need to go there, her voice the low, urgent whisper. Sobered by her tone, I nodded my head. Okay, Serafina, we will see if you can convince Dad. We all head to the sitting room, excitedly poised. Dad seemed sadder than usual, his face next to a pile of papers on the table. Thalia sat next to me, her eyes shifting between Dad and I every couple of seconds. Aurelia, Thalia, I have been doing some thinking. Dad started, his voice although steady was slightly tense. Life has got harder and made me prioritize what is important. Serafina interjected, her voice harsh. Eloin, just get to the point. What are you trying to say? Dad took a deep breath. I am changing my will. I've been unfair to you, Aurelia. Unfair for a very long time. I want to make it right. I'm giving you $300,000 of my estate. If only to honor your mother's memory. Tilde. Here was silence, heavy words hovering between air. Serafina's face paled, her lips thinning into a tight line. You can't be serious, Eloin. I don't like it, Meredith. Aurelia has been out of the picture for years and now she just comes right back in here, claiming part of our family's estate. What about Talia? Serafina broke the silence with a hard edge in her voice. Dad remained firm. It's my decision, Serafina. Aurelia is my daughter and she deserves this. It's long overdue. I was left speechless, the emotion fighting in my chest meant to be a tornado of feelings, gratitude, guilt, vindictiveness, all twisted up. After a short pause, Talia finally spoke up, her voice coming thinly but distinctly through the speakers. Dad, it's your choice. I just want my family back together, and that is more important than any will. Serafina threw her a cold glance, but did not engage her in conversation. Something flipped in the switch, and our family dynamic would never be quite the same. The weeks that followed became a delicate dance of decorum in the house. I visited often, and each time it felt less like terror, almost like a normal visit. But the most surprising of all, Serafina was actually behaving as a decent human being, never mind slightly blunt at best. Serafina came up to me one Sunday afternoon as I was leaving Dad's place, with a nervous look on her face. "Aurelia, I am so sorry. Do you mind if I borrow your car? My car is out of commission, and I have an important appointment." "Oh, this isn't important and everything. Not that I wouldn't bug you otherwise," she said in a tone far too casual. I hesitated, sensing the keys to my car locked in my pocket like anchors and detection of her apparently true trouble. "Sure, Serafina. Just be careful, all right," I said, handing her the keys. She offered a rare smile. "Thank you, Aurelia. You're a lifesaver." Uneasily, I took a cab home. I went back for my car the next day, expecting it to be parked out in front, but nope, empty space. This confusion quickly turned into concern, and I rushed back in. "Serafina, where's my car? Is that not external?" I asked calmly. She glanced up from her magazine, looking at him with bewilderment. "What do you mean? It should be right out front. If you don't let me inside, you gave me the keys, do you remember?" With a scowl, Dad, who sat at the table too, added his 2 cents. "Thalia went out for a drive this morning. She didn't tell you, Serafina." Serafina's face went pale. "No, she didn't. Why the hell would she take your car, Aurelia? She knows it is not hers to wield." Before I could answer, the ring of my phone cut through it all. It was the local police. The officer on the line told me that my vehicle was in an accident, and when he did, I felt my stomach drop. Calls by Sky News to Thalia Muggs were answered with a reply phone message from Sister Felicity, but she was not willing to comment. She was in the hospital. Everything began to whirl through the room as I broke it out. Serafina lurched and placed a hand to her chest, gasping as she fell into one of the chairs. "Oh God, what have I done?" Tertuliasona pronounced, whispering a handful. My dad and I looked at each other, eyes wide in disbelief. "What do you mean, Serafina? What have you done?" I screamed at him, my voice turning frantic. Her words chilled me to the bone when she finally got it in her togue. "I sabotaged those brakes. Thought it was going to be you driving. Notthalia. I was just swallowing the will about everything. Oh my God, how angry I get. Thalia is my only daughter, and I would never have wanted to do anything to hurt her." The confession was a punch to the gut. Shock, anger, and disbelief went through me as Dad's hand shook while he ringed into the police. Where once it was a ruin to reconcile with, now there is only treachery and ruins. I had my whole world upended as soon as I realized what Serafina had done. For years we tried to piece together what we could of a kind of family, and that one unthinkable act destroyed it all. There was only the silence in how I knew that if things had gone slightly differently, waiting for them would be a wait to speak with police, and stability. Part of me was concerned for Thalia, even though in the hospital, because someone meant to punish me. Part equally had felt so betrayed by what Serafina had done that it seemed like she must have been capable of anything and everything. Forgiveness was a journey I had hazarded yet struggled to make, understandably so after the circumstances through which we'd both been plugged. But here things were indeed unforgivable. The police would show up, and life would go on spinning out of course. Serafina was dragged off, wearing only the shock that showed on her face minutes earlier. Dad and I sat there, my ears ringing so loud from her confession that the silence of him sitting next to Dad was almost deafening. "I can't imagine doing that to your own children," my dad said, choking on the words as he was one drawl call from his grave. I made a move to touch his hand. "Dad, we have to be strong for Thalia, especially now when she needs us the most." A single tear leaked from his eye down one tawny cheek and, unable to hold back the flood of emotion any longer, he nodded. "You're right, Aurelia. I mean this. Oh my God, all these years. I did not know who the person was that I am living with. The next several days were a blur of trips to the hospital and bobbing around in confusing divorce papers. While Thalia had stabilized, it would be a long process to recover. Looking at her in that hospital bed, so delicate and innocent, it was something not of this world what slapped me over there, only a need to protect. Sitting next to her bed one night, there was a silence and Thalia's voice rang out faintly, "I am so lonely. Aurelia, I'm genuinely sorry for all of this. I never knew. I never thought." I squeezed her hand gently. "Thalia, it's not your fault. You didn't know. We will experience this together as humans." My pop, sitting quietly until now, spoke up. "Both of you," she said, "you're my girls. What Seraphina did, it's despicable. But we're family and that folks is the rub. A new day will dawn." The weeks passed, and life began to establish a new pace. The trial of Seraphina was the subject everyone spoke about in whispers, but under our roof, we bound over healing and building anew those cracked foundations. Thalia herself was a miracle really in her recovery. The smallest step or tiniest smile each day was progress, and she stood as living proof to fighting. The stronger she grew, the closer we became. That evening I found myself sitting in the room with Dad, a semblance of peace coming over both of us. Perhaps a clean slate and nothing but new beginnings for all of us. All of a sudden, Dad realized and turned to me. "You're right, Aurelia. We have been given that second chance and we should not squander it. We should move past what happened before, build a new future for us and her." And so we did. We sold the house, that wretched reminder of our pain, and found a new one where we could grow together, build something beautiful with those broken bricks. Starting over was never easy, however. Together we built the strength to continue onwards, writing a new tale comprised of hope and love.
Hey, I'm Sandra. Let me take you back to where it all began. Life was always just me and my mom, Trina, a dynamic duo since as far back as I can remember. My dad left us when I was very young, so my memories of him are hazy and few. Growing up, it was always just the two of us against the world. We weren't rich, but my mom worked tirelessly to ensure we had a roof over our heads and food on the table. Our small apartment in a quiet neighborhood was home, and I loved it. I never knew what it was like to have a fatherly presence around. My mom was my hero. After high school, I decided to stay close to home and attend the local community college. I couldn't bear the thought of leaving my mom alone after everything she had done for me. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, but I figured I'd sort that out along the way. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was comfortable and it was ours. Things were going well, and I eventually got a job as the manager of a local bookstore. It wasn't the most thrilling job, but it paid the bills, and I had a passion for books, so it felt like a good fit. My mom was over the moon when I started bringing home a paycheck. It was like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Then came Peter. I met him when I was 23, in one of those chance encounters you never expect to turn into something big. He walked into the bookstore one day while I was busy arranging a shelf. He asked for a book recommendation, and we got talking. Things just happened naturally from there. Peter and I hit it off incredibly well, and we felt a connection that was almost electric. Everything seemed to fall into place. Eventually, Peter decided it was time for me to meet his mother, Donna. I had heard so much about her from Peter, and I was a little nervous. He arranged for us to have dinner at her house. So I decided to bring a homemade pie, hoping to make a good impression. "Oh, Sandra, so lovely to finally meet you. You brought pie. How charming." "Thanks, Donna. I thought you might enjoy it." "Mom, Ella's a fantastic baker. You'll love it." "Well, let's hope it tastes as good as it looks." "So, Sandra, speaking of family, how is your family life? I heard it's just you and your mother, Trina, and no father in the picture. Isn't that sad?" "Well, my mom and I are very close. We've always been there for each other." "So, Ella, your mom isn't remarried?" "No, she isn't." "Well, maybe she's the problematic one. You shouldn't blame your dad for leaving, you know. Sometimes kids fail to see things the way they are." "Mom, I've met Ella. She's a wonderful woman." Son, I'm going to be honest with you. In my opinion, single women often raise the most problematic daughters. I call it like I see it. They raise their daughters to be bossy. And Peter, weren't you into blondes? Sandra here is a brunette, not very attractive in my eyes. Your ex-girlfriend was studying at an Ivy League school or something, and Sandra runs a bookstore. This seems like quite a downgrade. Mom, I didn't choose Sandra based on her job or education. I chose her because of the person she is. Your dad and I worked hard to ensure you could go to a good college, and now this is the kind of woman you bring home. No offense, Sandra. But there might be someone out there for you too, but it's just not my son. After that awkward dinner with Donna, Peter apologized to me repeatedly for her behavior. He felt genuinely sorry that his mother was so critical, but I assured him that our love was strong and wouldn't be easily shaken by someone's words. I knew my mother-in-law could be tough to deal with, but I was determined not to let it get in the way of our relationship. In any relationship, it's crucial to take a stand when needed, but I also believe in being respectful. Peter and I were deeply in love, and we were confident in our decision to be together. We didn't need anyone's approval but our own to know that we were right for each other. Over time, Peter and I grew even closer, and our love blossomed. He started talking about our future together, and not long after, he asked me to marry him. When it came time to plan our wedding, Peter and I discussed the guest list and decided to invite Donna and a couple of Peter's close friends. Unfortunately, Peter had lost his dad, and he didn't have many guests from his dad's side, so the guest list was small. A few months before the wedding, we shared our engagement news with Donna, and I could sense she wasn't too thrilled about it, but that didn't deter us from inviting her. We decided to visit her at her house to personally extend the invitation. Hi, Donna. We wanted to talk to you about our wedding. Oh, the wedding, huh? Mom, we'd really love for you to be there. Yes, it's such an important day for us, and we want you to be a part of it. Well, isn't that sweet? But honestly, I've got other things to do. Sandra, sweetie, you don't really know what you're getting into with my son. Mom, please. Ella's amazing, and I love her. I want you to see that. You are my mom. You seriously wouldn't miss my wedding, would you? Donna, we may have our differences, but this day is about love. We would love to have you there. I'm just not sure it's a good idea, you know. Donna not showing up at our wedding was a real bummer. Let me tell you, we made every effort to get Donna to our wedding. We called her countless times, but she couldn't be bothered. Peter's friends and family were there, but we could see the disappointment in his eyes. He tried to keep his spirits up, but his mom's absence was clearly weighing on him. It's tough when your spouse is feeling low and there's not much you can do to lift their spirits. Despite everything, Peter insisted we go ahead with the ceremony. He wouldn't let a no-show ruin our day, even if it was his mother. Fast forward 6 months into our marriage, and Donna was still keeping her distance. It was like she had made a conscious choice to pretend we didn't exist. It was tough for Peter, and I could see it in his behavior, but he never blamed me. Peter's birthday rolled around, and we tried to throw a small family gathering to mark the occasion. We reached out to Donna, but she turned us down without any explanation. Peter was obviously hurt by his mom skipping his birthday. I remember those weekends when I used to visit my mom regularly. It had always been just the two of us, and I felt a deep sense of responsibility toward her. I could sense Peter's desire to see his own mom, but he couldn't. In a strange way, I felt like the blame was on me, like I was the reason he couldn't have that bond with his mother. The bond between a mother and her children is something truly special, and it pained me to think that I might have unintentionally taken that away from Peter and Donna. Peter, honey, I can't help but feel responsible for the distance between you and your mom. It's like she's avoiding you because of me. Sandra, you can't blame yourself for my mom's actions. It's her choice to be distant. She has her own reasons, but it seems that she can't accept our relationship. It's affecting you, and I hate seeing you like this. I know it's tough, but it's not your fault. I love you, and I wouldn't want it any other way. We'll figure this out together. I just want you to have the relationship you deserve with your mom. I decided it was time to take matters into my own hands. I couldn't bear to see Peter suffer because of his strained relationship with his mom. So one day, without telling Peter, I headed over to Donna's place. I was determined to have a woman-to-woman conversation with her, hoping to ask her to give me a chance. Donna, it's been over 6 months. Don't you miss your son? He's been missing you. Your son was really hurt when you didn't show up at our wedding or his birthday. I understand you might not approve of me, but can you give me a chance for Peter's sake? I'm really close to my mom, and I can't even imagine not talking to her for that long. Peter respects you a lot, so maybe you can give me a chance at this. Sandra, it's not that simple. You're not the woman I imagined for my son. I'm confident we can work something out, Donna. Just give me a chance. Get to know me, and who knows? Maybe we'll discover some common ground. We might even find something we both like. Oh, please, Ella, you're nothing like me. I don't think we can ever get along, but I will give it a thought just because I miss my son way too much. I got back from Donna's place not really knowing what to expect. I decided not to tell Peter about our chat just yet. It felt like if it happened, it should be a surprise, and maybe a pleasant one. The next Sunday, Donna reached out to Peter. She called and surprisingly told him she was willing to give things a second chance. Donna even invited us over for dinner at her new place. It was a step in the right direction, and I couldn't help but feel hopeful. Things might just be looking up for Peter and his mom. We went to her place in the evening. I helped Donna a bit with the food while Peter enjoyed a beer. Son, I want to apologize for missing your wedding and your birthday. It was the first time I missed your birthday, and I know the wedding was a big deal. Mom, it hurt me that you weren't there for the wedding. It was such an important day for me, and I really wanted you to be there. I'm genuinely sorry for that. You know I've had my reservations about Sandra, but I'm willing to give this a second chance. Thanks, Mom. I hope we can have a better future. By the way, how's your mom, Sandra? I visit her regularly. Well, she must be all alone now, right? Donna commented. Come on, Mom, let's not get into this again. Peter sighed. I'm just saying, she sounds like a crazy cat lady who can't keep a husband or a relationship. That's completely not true. She just chooses not to. Peter retorted. Sandra and I drive down to see Trina almost every weekend. She treats me like her own son. It seems like you two visit her more often than you reach out to me, Donna accused. Mom, I tried to call you so many times, especially around the wedding, and you never picked up. It made me feel really disappointed. But I am your mom. I know you're my mom, and no one can replace that. Trina is my mother-in-law, and she's making an effort. I told her once that I like Mexican food, and the next time we went over, she cooked a special Mexican meal for me even though she had no experience with it. She's a kind woman, a great mother-in-law, and I'm grateful for that. Well, it looks like my son has different priorities now, Donna said, a hint of bitterness in her voice. How about dinner at my place every Sunday? I think we should start new traditions. That sounds great, Donna, Sandra replied warmly. Mom, you have no idea how happy I am to see you make an effort like this, Peter added, smiling. Nearly a year had passed since Peter and I got married, and I have to say, things were going great. Peter made me breakfast every day before he left for work, leaving it on the kitchen counter with a little note that never failed to brighten my day. He also surprised me with a bouquet of fresh flowers every Friday evening, a tradition that always brought a smile to my face. Despite the rocky start with Donna, she gradually started warming up to me. She wasn't exactly my biggest fan, and she had some strong opinions about my mother, believing that she was problematic and had raised me to be a problematic daughter. But deep down, Donna wanted to rekindle her relationship with her son, which gave me hope. Our Sundays were reserved for visiting Donna. It had become a regular thing, almost a tradition. Donna would invite us over for dinner, and it was a step in the right direction. I couldn't help but feel that maybe, just maybe, we could all grow closer as a family. It was just a regular Sunday, and we were all geared up to head over to Donna's place. But that day took a sharp turn when my phone rang with alarming news. It was the hospital, and the news was not good. My mom had suffered a stroke and was being rushed to the hospital. I told Peter, and he immediately sent a text to Donna explaining the situation and apologizing for our absence. There was no way we could make it to her place. I couldn't bear the thought of not being there for my mom when she needed us the most. So off we went to the hospital, and those hours of waiting and worrying felt like an eternity. Fortunately, it turned out to be a mini stroke. Still, it was scary, and it could have been much worse. My mom's a tough cookie, and she was on the mend. For the next few days, I stuck by my mom's side, taking some time off from the bookstore to look after her. Peter would drive down every couple of days to check on us, his concern for Trina evident, which meant the world to me. My mom's health gradually improved, and that was a relief like no other. One evening, when we returned home, I found myself feeling drained both emotionally and physically. I hadn't even had a moment to process everything that had happened, and then the doorbell rang. It was Donna. "Well, I haven't seen you guys in a while," she said. "Mom, like I told you, Trina had a mini stroke," Peter explained. "I've been trying to mend things with you. I even let Sandra into my house, even though I had my issues with her. But it's been almost 2 weeks. You couldn't even manage to show up at my house once." "Donna, it was a serious situation. My mom was at the hospital. She had a mini stroke. I was so scared I could have lost her. I needed my husband there, and it's not like we stopped coming over to your place or something. We just needed some time," I said, feeling frustrated. "Maybe I've been overthinking things, but anyway, would it be fine with you, Sandra, if I use your car tomorrow?" Donna asked. "Yeah, of course. My car broke down, and I need to go somewhere very important to meet this friend of mine." "Of course you can. I have some more leave from the bookstore, so I'll be staying at home anyway. Peter has his own car, and I don't think I'll be using mine," I replied, trying to keep the peace. "You're a lifesaver," Donna said. Later that night, Peter brought up the topic of Donna's broken down car. He told me it had reminded him of how long it had been since he had sent his own car for maintenance. "Hey, how about you drop me at Mom's house in your car before going to work? We can also make a stop and give Donna my car keys. She can use it and drop it off whenever she wants," Peter suggested. "That sounds like a good plan," I agreed, hoping this would help smooth things over with Donna. "Then on your way back in the evening, you can pick me up from my mom's house again." "Sure, sounds great." On the way back, we can even stop at the maintenance center to drop my car there and get an Uber from there to home. The next day, we followed our plan precisely. Peter dropped me off at my mom's house on his way to work, and before that, we stopped by Donna's place to give her the keys to my car. "Hey Donna, here are the keys. You can use my car and drop it back at my place. I'm heading to my mom's house, and the car is in our driveway. I won't be needing it for much time, just some hours. I'll drop it off at your place before you get back home." I had a great time visiting my mom. I cooked for her like in the old times, and we watched our favorite reality show. When Peter picked me up on his way back from work, we went to the maintenance center. Peter left his car there, and we took an Uber home. When we got there, my car was standing in the driveway, and we figured that Donna must have dropped it off after she used it. The next day, he took my car to his office, and something very terrible happened. I received that dreaded call from the hospital. At first, my heart skipped a beat, and I thought it might be about my mom, but then the voice on the other end mentioned Peter's name, and I felt like my world was crashing down. The hospital explained that Peter had been in a car accident, and I could feel the panic rising within me. I rushed to the hospital as fast as I could. When I arrived, I was relieved to see that the accident, while frightening, had not been as catastrophic as it could have been. Peter's head was safe, and he had no major injuries, just a few broken bones. I called Donna to let her know about her son's accident. I was in the hospital room, sitting beside Peter's bed. He was still unconscious, and I was anxiously waiting for him to wake up. I held his hand, hoping for any sign of improvement. That's when Donna walked into the room. "What the hell, Sandra? Look what you did to my son." "All of this is your fault." "How could this be my fault? You were supposed to get into that car and drive it, not Peter. Why did you let him drive your car? Are you serious? What are you trying to say?" "Just because of you, my son got into an accident. Oh my God, I can't bear the sight of him like this. He's so hurt. My poor son is in so much pain." "Wait, Donna, what did you say? What do you mean I was supposed to get into the car?" "Yes, you and your mother, taking Peter away from me. We were finally getting close again. And then your stupid mom had that stroke, and my son stood me up to go and see that woman. I never liked you, Sandra. You are a terrible girl. Peter deserves better. I tried to tolerate you for his sake, but your mom? She's trying to steal my son too. It's not just you. Did you think I was blind to your attempts to take him away from me? She's alone. She can't have a family and keep a man, so she's trying to steal mine. You started this, Sandra. I thought it would end with you, so I may or may not have arranged for someone to mess with your car, but now look what you've done, dragging my son into this mess." "Mom, what's going on? Are you serious?" "Oh, Peter, babe, are you fine? Can you get my mom out of here? I don't want to see her face. Peter, thank God you're all right. This is all Ella's fault. You're just a bit misguided right now. I did all of this to protect you from Sandra and Trina. Mom, you are just delusional. Just get out of here. I escorted Donna out of the room. Enough is enough. You tried to end my life, and look what happened. You hurt your own son. I won't let that go. Donna, you have insulted me and my mom repeatedly, but I gave you numerous chances, hoping one day you would accept me. In return, you tried to kill me. You wanted me gone, but I will ensure you face the consequences. I spent weeks at the hospital with Peter, waiting for him to heal and come home. He'd been through a terrifying car accident, and his injuries were slowly getting better. But during those long hours by his side, I couldn't forget what Donna had done. While we were still in the hospital, I called a lawyer. I knew I had to take action to make sure Donna faced the consequences of her actions. Dealing with legal stuff and police reports was a hassle, but it was necessary. Donna had to pay for attempting to hurt me. After a bunch of court proceedings, Donna got sentenced to 2 years in jail for attempted murder. The gravity of her actions finally caught up with her. It's been months since the accident, and Peter is still in pain. Some of his wounds haven't fully healed, and the emotional scars run deep. He's understandably furious with his mom for what she did. During this tough time, I've been there for him every step of the way. My mom, Trina, has also been a huge help. We're doing our best to make things as smooth as possible for him, considering the circumstances. Donna might be locked away for a while, but we don't think we can ever forgive her for what she has done. Stay safe, people.
The bride, who had graduated from a prestigious music college, looked down on me, a high school graduate. She compelled me to play the piano at my brother's wedding. I had never told her I could play the piano, so she was definitely messing with me. Furthermore, she whispered in my ear that she was betraying my brother Jack. To be honest, I have a real boyfriend besides Jack, she said. She smiled at me as I trembled in front of the piano, but I knew her smile would soon fade. My name is Elena Johnson, and I'm 32 years old. I'm unmarried and currently working as a staff member at a wedding hall. I have only one brother. Our parents divorced when I was in high school, and a few years later, our mother passed away in an accident. We haven't been in contact with our biological father for a long time, and he never supported us. Needless to say, I had a hard life. Instead of attending college, I went to work, and my brother and I helped each other make ends meet. Jack, my younger brother, is 3 years younger than me. He's sharp and intelligent. He was excused from university tuition under a special student program and completed 4 years of study. After that, he got a job at a well-known company and has been excelling at work. I was quite proud of Jack, who was getting married. According to my brother, the bride was the daughter of a company executive. She was beautiful, had a pleasant demeanor, and was family-oriented. She had graduated from a prestigious music institution and was already offering private piano lessons. She seemed flawless. One day during a holiday, a meeting was held between the two families. The bride and her parents, as well as me and my brother, were present. "Nice to meet you. My name is Grace Miller," she said. I had seen a picture of her before, but she was far more attractive and pleasant in person. Grace then asked me for some advice. "I heard that you work at a wedding hall. Is it possible for us to hold the wedding there?" "Of course, we'd be delighted to help you," I replied, happy to support my brother's big day. The parents were also happy and smiling, discussing the kind of person their daughter was. Elena has been playing the piano since she was a little girl and has won many prizes in competitions, Grace's father boasted, listing her accomplishments. However, Grace's face tightened when her father mentioned a certain girl. My daughter would get decent results, but the same girl would always win first place. It was very frustrating. What was that girl's name? "Let's not talk about that," Grace interrupted, her expression darkening. She quickly changed the subject. An hour later, I had to leave the room because my work phone rang. As I was returning, I saw Grace coming back from the restroom. I spoke to her. "I appreciate everything you did for us today. It was a fantastic day." Grace's attitude changed abruptly. Attending today's meeting is a high school graduate. She sneered, then hurriedly returned to the room, leaving me stunned. I couldn't understand what had just happened. I finished my work call and returned to my seat, still puzzled. Grace had returned to her former pleasant self. "Elena, would you like something to drink?" she asked kindly, handing me the drink list. I must have misheard her earlier. Not wanting to complicate matters, I didn't tell anyone about the incident, and the meeting came to a close. However, I quickly discovered that it was not a misunderstanding at all. After Grace and I began meeting alone to plan the wedding ceremony, she consistently looked down on me. "You don't resemble Jack, who is very attractive," she would remark, implying that I was unattractive. Grace's sarcasm was relentless, targeting my high school education and unmarried status. "If you have time to assist others in getting married, why don't you worry about yourself?" she'd say. "Thanks for the advice. Oh, but you're only a high school graduate, so you're not very bright. And you lack etiquette because you were raised by a single mother. I don't think you'll be able to find a partner." Grace often boasted about her piano skills, reminding me that she always won top prizes in competitions. "I'm not like you, who only finished high school and went to work." Grace's constant jabs wore on me, and I grew to dislike her, even though she was supposed to be my brother's wife. However, since Jack chose her and their relationship seemed solid, I decided to keep my feelings to myself and endure her behavior. Months passed, and the wedding day arrived. Grace's father, an executive, had many company employees in attendance. Given the high number of guests and their VIP status, I had cleared my schedule to ensure everything went smoothly. Despite being the groom's sister, I chose to work behind the scenes until shortly before the ceremony began. As the ceremony neared, I was in the dressing room touching up my makeup when Grace's two female friends entered. They were engrossed in conversation, so I quietly continued with my preparations. Suddenly, their conversation took an unexpected turn. "Hey, did you know Grace is dating another guy? I've heard he's from the nightclub. She said she's getting married today just to keep up appearances. If that's true, I feel sorry for the groom, who has no idea." My mind went blank. I had to stop the wedding. But I couldn't cancel the ceremony without proof. The ceremony began, leaving me feeling bewildered. During the ceremony, Grace's friends, all music college graduates, entertained the guests with beautiful performances. Suddenly, Grace picked up the microphone and announced, "Now my sister-in-law will perform on the piano." All eyes turned to me. I panicked. Grace had never told me about this, and I had never mentioned that I could play the piano. This surprise was not part of the plan. Grace was supposed to play the piano later in the wedding, so the piano wasn't ready. Hearing Grace's words, the ceremony hall staff began frantically arranging the piano. While I was too surprised to move, Grace approached me at the family table and yanked my arm with all her strength. "Come this way," she commanded, dragging me towards the piano. "Hey, you didn't tell me anything about this," I murmured quietly, aware of the guests watching us. Grace started blurting out in a hushed voice, "When I look at you, I can't help but get angry, so all I want to do is annoy you." "Is that the only reason you're treating me like this?" I asked. "Yeah, that's right," she replied with a smirk. As Grace's true nature became more apparent to me, I realized how much I despised her. "The ceremony will be ruined if you refuse to perform here. What do you think will happen if I cry in front of my father? The marriage would be annulled, and Jack would be fired from his job. Do you really want your beloved brother to get fired? Honestly, I have another boyfriend. I only married Jack because my parents were too annoying," Grace confessed. Her words confirmed the rumors I overheard in the bathroom. As I pondered this, the piano was set up. "Let's see what you got," Grace challenged. I sat down on the piano bench, my body shivering and my breath heavy. "I'm wondering if it was too much to ask of someone who only graduated from high school like you. Perhaps you've never even touched a piano," Grace taunted, smiling triumphantly. The audience grew increasingly noisy, and a staff member I knew approached me, concerned. "Are you feeling all right?" she asked. Grace, on the other hand, had a contented smile on her face. Play the piano if you're Jack's sister. But it seems I was mistaken. I'm sorry, she mocked. However, a single phrase from my brother changed everything. Don't you know my sister? He asked. What? Grace replied, startled. I broke the silence by playing Dream of Love, a standard wedding song. The venue, which had been noisy, quieted with the sound of the piano. When I finished, I was greeted with thunderous applause. My colleagues, who hadn't expected me to play so well, were moved to tears. In contrast, Grace's face was bright red, and she was biting her lips. How could you play so well when you were nervous and trembling earlier? Grace asked, astonished. I didn't tell you, but I studied at a music college overseas, I replied, announcing the university's name. Grace staggered backward, shocked. That's the college I wanted to go to, but couldn't. How could someone like you from a single-mother family attend? I've been taking piano lessons since I was a little girl and had support from people around me. However, when my mother died, I had to drop out of music school to help my brother attend school, I explained. The reason I never told you I could play the piano was to avoid ruining your reputation. It seemed my brother hadn't mentioned my piano experience to Grace. Determined to outdo me, she refused to acknowledge my past. Hey, isn't that Elena Garcia? One of Grace's friends suddenly asked, recognizing my face. Oh, if that's the case, she's incredible. We can't even begin to compete, she added, recalling me from music college, where I was well known as a brilliant pianist. Grace, hearing the last name Garcia, asked with a bewildered expression, Are you by any chance that Elena Garcia who won all the awards in the competitions? I don't know if I won all the awards, but it's true I won many of them. Yes, that's right, I confirmed. I was the girl who always stood in front of Grace at every competition. Elena Garcia was my name before my parents divorced. The audience cheered, and someone handed me a microphone, asking if I wanted to comment on my performance. I saw my chance to take revenge on Grace and revealed what I knew. Please listen, everyone. Grace is having an affair. Gasps filled the room, and Grace's parents looked stunned, their mouths agape. No, that's not true. She's talking nonsense. Grace tried desperately to deny it. But I quickly connected my phone to the speaker and played a recording of what Grace had whispered in my ear earlier. To be honest, I have another boyfriend. I only married him because my parents were too annoying. Knowing Grace's true nature, I have been ready with my phone's voice recorder to capture her words. Grace's face turned pale as her deception was laid bare. You disgraceful brat, her father yelled, and all hell broke loose. I'm sorry, Papa, Grace pleaded. I'll never forgive you. You are no longer my daughter, her father declared. Jack also turned on Grace. How dare you deceive me? I'm not marrying you. Please reconsider, Grace begged, but my brother was furious. Apologize to my sister too, he demanded, pushing her away. Grace, desperate and not knowing what to do, turned to me. Please forgive me. Everyone will forgive me too. Even at this point, Grace seemed to think only of herself, offering no apology to me. You've been insulting me for so long, and now you expect me to forgive you. You take far too many things for granted. Grace broke down, confessing, How will I ever be able to live on my own if Papa and Jack abandon me? She admitted that her lover was a spendthrift and that she couldn't survive on his money alone. I don't care about your life. I'm not going to forgive you, I told her coldly. Finally, in a tight spot, Grace bowed her head to me. I apologize for everything I've done. I'm sorry, she sobbed, her makeup smudged and her eyes dark. It was a pitiful sight, but I felt nothing for her. You insulted me for graduating only from high school and trampled on my brother's heart. Never show your face in front of us again. Grace broke down in tears and was escorted out of the ceremony hall by her relatives. Her parents then apologized to the attendees, and the wedding was abruptly canceled. After the attendees left, my brother and I talked. I'm really sorry if I made you feel bad because I fell for that woman, Jack said. I'll be fine. Are you going to be okay? I asked. I need to sort out my feelings, but I'll get back on my feet soon," he assured me. I believed him and decided to support him as he healed. Later, my brother and Grace officially broke off their engagement. Jack received compensation, and Grace's parents cut her off and kicked her out of the house. Without her parents' support, Grace struggled to make ends meet. Her affair partner dumped her as soon as her financial support vanished. Jack, on the other hand, devoted himself to his work and was soon promoted, his efforts paying off. As for me, I have been asked to play the piano more frequently at wedding ceremonies, and my days are busy. I hope to bring joy to many people with my performances.
Hello everyone, my name is Arena, and today I want to share the story of my mother-in-law, Sarah. She is the quintessential nightmare mother-in-law, determined to push me out of her son's life. Did her plan work? No, but she certainly tried. Since you all love mother-in-law stories, I thought my experience might entertain you, and if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, offer some advice. David, my now husband, and I dated for 4 long years. We met through a mutual friend, and the rest is history. He is a wonderful and handsome man. I was surprised to find him single and soon understood why after we started dating. He gave me a small warning saying, "I want you to meet my mom, but I'm not sure how she'll react. It's not about you, Arena, or us. It's her. She doesn't like it when I bring a woman home." Seriously? But you're past 20. Why would she have a problem with that? I asked. Well, I grew up with my mom alone since my father left before I was born. She's fixated on me and gets jealous when another woman comes into my life, he explained. That small warning didn't prepare me for the reality. Sarah was a mad woman, and I don't know how to put it politely. When David finally took me to meet her, she didn't talk to me or even look at me during the entire dinner. It was incredibly embarrassing and awkward. David tried to include me in the conversation, but Sarah just ignored me and changed the topic. When I asked her something directly, she would stay quiet and only talk to her son, determined to show me my place. David apologized 1,000 times after we left over the phone since he had to drive his mom home. Did I mention he lived with her? Yes, Sarah would pull health scare stunts and cry a river whenever he wanted to move out. My poor husband was conditioned to prioritize his mom over everyone else. As our relationship progressed, Sarah became even more hostile. She kept telling David to break up with me and resorted to all kinds of manipulation, including blackmail when I asked him to move in with me. I could write a novel about her antics. I endured her horrible behavior because I loved David and he loved me too. Things got worse after we got married. On our wedding day, Sarah walked up to me and said, "Don't be so happy, Arena. This marriage will not last a year. I will make sure of it." What? What are you saying, Sarah? Who says things like this at a wedding? I asked, shocked. I don't care about your stupid wedding. You will never steal my son away from me. I can promise you that. I will make sure this marriage dissolves, and then I will have my son back where he belongs, she retorted. David loves me, and I love him too. Don't you want your son to be happy, Sarah? I pleaded. My son was perfectly happy with me. He didn't need you in his life. I don't care how you managed to trap him, but you won't be here for long. I won't allow some woman to take over my son. I am and will be the only woman in his life. I hope you remember that, she declared. Her words made me cry on my wedding day. As if that wasn't bad enough, she also cut up my wedding veil and threw out my flower bouquet. It was a disaster, but David and I still got married. He tried to get his mom to apologize, but that apology never came. What was worse was that we had to live in Sarah's house after the wedding. On our wedding night, I cried to David. I can't do this, David. I love you and really want this marriage to work, but I can't stay here. I can't have Sarah in our lives. I'm so sorry for my mother's mistakes, Arena. You know I'm the only one she has. I cannot cut her off. Please understand my situation, he begged. Sarah will make my life hell in her house. Can't you see that? I will be miserable here. I already am, I said. I promise I will figure out something about the living arrangements. I won't let you suffer for long. Please just give me some time, David assured me. David kept his promise. Within 3 months, he accepted a job opportunity in another country. The pay was exceptionally good, and he decided to take it. Sarah wasn't happy and threw some major tantrums. But she calmed down when David said she could come and visit. He flew out soon, while I was set to join him a month later. Thankfully, during that month, Sarah ignored me a lot. She never talked to me and kept to herself. I thought maybe I could have a quiet month before leaving for good and worry about Sarah coming later. Fate had other plans. Just a few days before my flight to join my husband, I had a strange feeling when I saw Sarah sneak into my room. She thought I wasn't there, but I was actually in my closet with the door half closed so she couldn't see me. Imagine my surprise when I saw Sarah sneak into my room while I was quietly packing my stuff. I stayed silent and observed her. When I saw Sarah reach for my bag of documents and take out my passport, I was immediately on alert. She took my passport and happily left the room. I came out of the closet, trying to make sense of what I had seen. I went to the living room and overheard my mother-in-law discussing her evil plan with a friend on the phone. I was shocked to learn what she intended to do with my passport. I quickly went to her room and saw my passport lying in a black pencil case. Something came over me, and I replaced my passport with hers. Then I went back into my room and called David. "Your mother just tried to burn my passport, David." She came into my room and took it, thinking I wasn't there. I overheard her plan while she was telling a friend on the phone. "Whoa, what are you saying, Harina? Mom tried to ruin your passport? This can't be true. Oh God, it can't be true." "It is true, David. I wish it wasn't. I have my passport safe with me, but I replaced it with hers. I wanted to give you a heads up about it. My mom can't do this, Harina. I'm sure she'll come back out. Why don't we find out? I will make sure I have proof." In the meantime, I knew David would have a hard time believing the truth. It was his mother after all. I didn't blame him and knew I could prove everything. Sarah liked to boast, and she would eventually spill the beans to make me sad. It was only a matter of time. I made some plans and quickly packed my stuff, waiting for an out to leave this place for good. The next morning, Sarah seemed to be in a good mood. She was cheerful and kept giving me smirks. I knew this was the time to use her cocky behavior against her. I sat down and said, "Hey Sarah, have you seen my passport anywhere? My flight is in 3 days, and I cannot find it anywhere." "Ah, your passport. I think I know where it is," she replied. "Oh really, Sarah? Thanks for finding it. I must have misplaced it. Can you give it back to me?" I asked, knowing full well where my passport was. I was just baiting her to spill the truth. Sarah took the bait without suspicion. She looked at me and laughed before saying in the meanest voice she could muster, "No, I can't, Arena. I have destroyed your passport so that you cannot live with my son in another country. It has been burned to ashes. Now you will be forced to stay here while I go and help my son build his life there. Things will be just like they were before you came into the picture." "Oh really, Sarah? You think it would be that easy to remove me from my husband's life? Have you forgotten that I am not just his girlfriend anymore? I am his wife. Divorces happen to a lot of people, Arena. Not all marriages are meant to last a lifetime. It will be easy for me to get rid of you now. I will be around David a lot while you sit here, unable to do anything. In a few months, I will convince him to leave you, and then there will be nothing holding us back. I won't allow him to bring in worthless people to replace me again." The way Sarah had planned this entire thing was disgusting and amusing at the same time. She was so hell-bent on being the only woman in her son's life that she was ready to do anything. All this time, she had been quiet because she was planning this whole thing. It was impressive how fast she could come up with a plan to destroy my marriage and her son's life. She was confident that her son would listen to her and divorce me straight away. I could see why she would think that, after all, they would be far away from me and I would rarely be able to visit. By the time I got my passport back, it would be too late. It was a brilliant plan, but there was a big flaw in it that she didn't consider. So I decided to enlighten her. "That's a nice plan you've got there, Sarah. I'm very impressed, but it is not going to work. Sure, you did destroy a passport, but... Oh yes, you can always get a new one, but it will take months. I just need a little time to convince my son. After that, no passport will be able to help you." "Why would I need a new passport, Sarah? My passport is perfectly capable of doing its job. But I don't think yours can anymore. So it looks like now you can't go live with your son." "Excuse me? What are you talking about? I have my passport and plane tickets ready. I will be leaving in a few days." "You can't do that if you don't have your passport with you, Sarah. Meanwhile, I have my passport just fine," I said, pulling out my own passport and showing it to her. It was authentic and it was mine. I showed her my passport but didn't let her touch it. I wasn't going to be that stupid. I let her see it and watched as her face showed complete confusion. It was like she couldn't comprehend how my passport had come back from the grave and was in my hands. She looked shocked and said, "Wait a damn minute. How was that possible?" No, this must be fake. I destroyed your passport with my own hands. I made sure it was burned to ashes. This can't be real. Unfortunately for you, Sarah, my passport is in perfectly good condition. Not a single flame of fire has touched it, but I can't say the same for yours. What are you talking about, Irina? My passport is also perfectly all right. Wait, I'll get it and show you. Sarah went to her room to retrieve her passport. She left in haste and looked confident, but when she came back a few minutes later, she looked panicked and scared. What the hell, Irina? Where is my passport? Did you steal it? This is not funny, Irina. Give me my property back. You can't do this to me. I didn't take your passport, Sarah, but I do know what happened to it. Tell me where my passport is. Tell me right now. You burned it with your own hands, Sarah. Have you forgotten what happened last night? You took your passport out, put it in the fireplace, and watched it burn. You looked really happy back then. No, that can't be my passport. That's not possible. That can't be mine. I checked. Yes, you checked when you stole my passport and took it to burn, but in your haste, you forgot to check it one more time before throwing it into the fire. Thankfully, I knew what you were up to and quickly swapped my passport with yours. It was easy. You had it right beside mine. Sarah looked like I had shot her in the chest. She clutched her chest and appeared about to have a panic attack, and I was in no mood to help her at all. She looked stricken with panic and fear, tears in her eyes, and didn't know what to do. You monster! How could you do this to me? Oh my God, how will I get to my son? Wow, Sarah, it's okay for you to destroy my passport, but I'm a monster because I replace it with yours? That's rich coming from you. Also, I don't think you need to worry about joining your son anymore. What? What are you talking about? This is not over. I will get a new passport and tell my son what you have done. I will do everything in my power to make you pay for this. A replacement passport won't do you much good, Sarah. I don't think your son will want you to come to his place anymore. David would like to say something on this matter. I picked up my phone and turned up the call volume. Sarah thought I would confront her without having a witness. Well, that wasn't going to happen. So I called David and put him on speaker. I also made sure to tell him to mute the call while turning down the call volume so Sarah wouldn't know someone was on the phone. It worked wonderfully. Sarah went from looking angry to crying when she heard my husband say, "What the hell, Mom? What the hell did you try to do? I just wanted to come see you, and look, your wife has destroyed my passport intentionally. She wants to separate you from me." "Oh no, Mom. That won't work on me anymore. She didn't do anything. You are the one who destroyed the passport, and you are the one who tried to ruin my marriage by separating me from my wife. Although I am surprised to hear that you think you can convince me to leave Irina. I love her, and nothing will make me divorce her." Sarah knew she had been caught. She was in a tight spot with no idea how to get out of this situation, so she started to justify her actions. And oh God, her excuses were just hilarious. They just showed how deranged and crazy she was. She started to sob and said, "David, son, you need to understand why I did it. She really does want to separate me from you. Do you remember how happy we were when it was just the two of us? She came and destroyed everything. You moved away to get away from Irina." "No, Mom, I moved away to get away from you. Everything was perfect until you started to mess up my marriage and tried to kick Irina out of my life. I told you multiple times that I am happy with her, but your selfishness didn't let you choose your son's happiness over yours. What kind of a mother are you?" "David, don't say that, dear. You're breaking your poor mother's heart. Irina is poisoning you against me. Irina has been nothing but patient with you. You don't get to blame your evil deeds on my innocent wife. God, I don't know how you could do this to your own son. You know what? I don't even care anymore. Irina is right. I don't want you to come here. If you do, I will throw you out. I want nothing to do with you anymore." Hearing this, Sarah started to bawl. She was slowly becoming uncontrollable while she begged David to forgive her. She was desperate to get back into his good graces and started to make up stories about how I was abusing her at home. David knew that all those stories were lies and said so himself. My dear mother-in-law kept crying and pleading with David not to do this to her. Meanwhile, my friends arrived at the door, ready to move my packed stuff to their house. There was no way I would stay with Sarah any longer. I would be gone that day itself. They started to haul my stuff into their trucks while Sarah continued to bawl in front of the phone. Finally, David said, "Irina, do you have your stuff out of the house?" "Yes, I do, David. Don't worry, your mother will not be able to destroy anything of mine anymore." "Good. Now go with your friends and stay there till your flight. Leave Mom be and don't entertain her anymore. I'm hanging up. Call me when you are out of the house." Sarah heard our interaction and started to panic again. She looked like the deranged woman she was. She said to David on the phone, "David, son, please don't do this. Don't abandon me here. Please forgive me. Stop, Mom. Just stop. I don't want to listen to you anymore. Lose my number, Mom. I don't want to see you or hear from you again. I will be blocking your number on all forms of communication. Irina will do the same, so don't try to harass her. David, please don't do that. I can't even reach you anymore. I can't clutch your feet and beg. Please don't shut me out. Let's talk this through. We have done plenty of talking before, Mom. Not anymore. You are an independent woman who can live without your son, and I am an independent man who can live without his mom. We don't need to be in touch anymore. Don't bother." David said that and ended the call. Sarah panicked and ran to her own phone to try and call him. We took that opportunity to run for the hills. We all got into the truck and drove far, far away from Sarah and her craziness. I called David on my way and he picked up instantly. "I'm out of the house, David. I'm safe. Don't worry." "Thank God. I'm so sorry, Irina. I never should have left you there. Even if Mom had destroyed your passport and come here first, her words wouldn't have swayed me. I wouldn't have divorced you. You know that, right?" "Yes, I know that, David. I trust you. Speaking of Sarah, I take it that she is blowing up your phone." "Yeah, she is. Don't worry, she's blocked, and I am going to inform everyone in the family about her latest deeds. Trust me, everyone will be on our side. Just be careful for the next few days and fly here as soon as possible." I flew down to David a few days later. My flight was exactly 3 days later, and I reached David the next day. I was careful not to go out much and enjoyed the peace and quiet at my friend's place. I couldn't take all my stuff to the new country, so I asked my mom to come and collect it. She would rent a U-Haul and take my stuff to her city. My friends were a big help and managed to keep Sarah away from me until I left. Since then, David and I were able to settle in just fine, and we're thrilled to start our new life. It feels good to be close to my husband after being away for so long. Now, I'll tell you what happened to my dear mother-in-law after I left her alone. She kept trying to contact me and David, and we kept blocking every new number she bought. The extended family was already informed about her obnoxious behavior, and they all cut her off. I don't blame them, who would want to keep in touch with a psycho like that anyway. Sarah filed for a replacement passport and came to our country, but she doesn't know our address, so it was a waste of time. She did show up at David's workplace and was escorted out by security. She threw such a big tantrum that the cops were called, and she was promptly sent back to her country. She won't ever get a visa here again, so we will be free from Sarah for a very long time.